How on earth became a millionaire and top 1% realtor with Milena Simsic. Before we get to Milena, I sure hope interest rates are cut. I just posted a video on my socials about it. Looks like that's the way things are going to go on June 5th, at least an 80% chance. I'll take that bet. I could use the bump to help sell my daughter's house. That is the truth about real estate investing for Canadians. My name is Erwin Cito, host of this little podcast, and 17 devout listeners since 2016. Yes, I think we're approaching 350 episodes or so. Thank you to all 17 of my listeners. Apparently, you were all at the multifamily conference. Thank you for saying hello, and thank you for some of you for joining me for dinner on the Saturday night. I always appreciate the kind words, both in person and, of course, those 5-star reviews on iTunes and Spotify. For some crazy reason, you Spotify listeners like me better than my iTunes listeners. I do have to say I am grateful for our listeners and past guests of the show who share with me both how to make money and, unfortunately, how some lose money. Real estate, is a long game. If you're in for the long term, you're going to be fine as long as you avoid losing money generally. I had one listener share with me that I met her at the multifamily conference. She's a regular listener of the show. She has 5 private mortgages that have all gone bad. I don't know what bad means, but no one wants to ever hear or say that. I already knew this is the main area of losses, because specifically private lending, as my wife has an accounting practice that specializes in real estate and having real estate investor clients. And private lending is currently, unfortunately, the number one loser in the investment category. I'm not saying they're all bad, but if you're looking at where the highest frequency of loss is, right now it is in private lending. I know some of you out there do not agree with my stance that I personally do not lend out my money, and I never will, never say never. The worst case scenario that many investors are facing today falls outside my investment criteria for risk tolerance. As my regular listeners know, I'm very diligent. And if I can't do enough, if doing the diligence is not worth my time or return, then I won't do it. Hence, I'll just simply say no, thank you. And also, again, I consider myself pretty risk adverse. And and if I ever did lend, I would be registered on title. As for the real estate market update, activity is definitely increasing, especially compared to the Victoria day-long weekend. My own experience in my open house in Hamilton was quite slow. I think we had maybe 6-7 parties show up over that 2-hour span. To me, that's quite slow. But compared to a lot of the other things out there, that's not that bad. Showing volume is considerably up. I'm getting at least a couple showings a day now. I'm getting offers, though it's mostly from what I call vultures. It's not an insult. It's just folks, generally investors throwing out lowball offers looking for motivated sellers. I don't blame them. I would be doing the same in their position. They should really just ask me first if I'm motivated, because I'm not that motivated. For those of you who've been following along, I've already sold and closed on 3 of my own properties that I've held for quite some time. We're doing quite well in the cash flow position. My student rentals had considerably more interest, so I'm guessing either the market's kind of being a little bit volatile, or the market just really wants student rentals over regular long-term rentals. If you are a tenant in Ontario or BC, well, you have all the rights. And I don't see how rents don't keep climbing. Even though I am preferring U.S. investments right now, I readily predict that rents will keep climbing here in Ontario and in BC because housing is not getting built fast enough. Immigration is high. Mom and pop landlords are generally exiting from what I'm seeing out there, and there's very few of them buying. And whoever the buyers are, I'm noticing in my experience, what I'm seeing is they're very new to this. So, which is great for the renters. I don't know I don't know how this rental market's going to end up. Generally, I don't think it's going to be good for tenants though. If you're a parent, let's leave it at that. If you're a parent or a renter, I'd recommend taking action ASAP. As many of you know, I bought each of my kids when they were born. I bought them each a house. I call it an RESP. It's not the traditional term definition of RESP. I call it a real estate savings plan. I've sold one. I've sold my son's house, and I'm currently selling my daughter's house, and we will redeploy that money in the US. Housing inflation in the US is quite bad too, just like it is here. And I have charts showing me the Case-Shiller index is showing that the US housing has gone up 5.5% each year over the last 53 years on average. That's an average, but that's a pretty big sample at 53 years. So I'm going to continue hedging inflation risk. I want to hold hard assets and, of course, building wealth for my family. Speaking of kids, how cute is it that my kids were asked to participate in a competition, a Dragon's Den style public speaking competition? They were taught how to structure a business pitch, and then they had to pitch their fictitious businesses in front of a live audience, including judges. My son pitched his flying magic carpet business as an alternative to driving in a boring car to avoid traffic jams. The price of a flying magic carpet? Only $50,000 each. Obviously, there's fictitious businesses. Never forget, talk is cheap. In real estate and probably manufacturing of any sort of vehicle, execution is everything. Those who don't execute go bankrupt, as we're seeing in this community right now, in this high interest rate community right now. The cash flow and effort involved never worked for Cherry and I when we did the analysis to build a large scale portfolio with investment partners in Ontario. And we were using, and at the time, commercial interest rates were 4%. When we now dream of those days to go back to 4%. And even at 4%, we were forecasting negative cash flow. Hence, it did not make sense to us to build a model, any sort of REIT around that. Today, we're at historic highs, and I feel sorry for those who are losing their shirts in retirement funds. Keep it boring, investors. That's my opinion. Again, that's an opinion that's formed over being 20 years of a landlord in Ontario. Focus on cash flow. Be passive as possible, unless you're prepared to invest for more than 15 hours a week of your own time to be what I would consider an active investor. Go for it. You enjoy it. You want to put in the extra effort to get the better than market returns. Go for it. Otherwise, keep it boring. Go back to work and your family. If you want to know the truth about how Cherry and I will be investing in boring and for cash flow, specifically American dollar cash flow in the USA, Saturday, June 8th for a hybrid workshop. It's actually now going to be only available online to anyone else. We've sold out the in-person. It is hybrid, as in we have about 50 people that'll be in the office, and then everyone else will be online. So we have room for more people on the Zoom webinar, and that's Saturday, June 8th. But the sale will end probably early June 7th. So don't wait till the last minute. Avoid disappointment. This is for beginner and experienced investors. I'll have her on the show. I had a 30-year investor in our audience just in our last episode, someone with a massive portfolio, but the US is new to them. And so they came, they enjoyed our presentation. We're having lunch in a few days, and they too are looking to start building their US portfolio with the extra cash they have on hand. How much does the event cost? So first off, it's like 9 to 12 p.m. Saturday morning. It's just a morning. It'll cost a whopping $30 plus tax and Eventbrite fees. That is tremendous value considering the attendees will be learning about the future of real estate investing for Canadians. I do not see a big future for small mom and pop investors in Canada. Everything's just way easier in the States, and we'll explain why and how and why that only became more available just recently. The writing is on the wall for my research. My conclusion is to buy American. Pretty much everyone at the multifamily conference was saying the exact same thing. Right now, it's only a matter of education on how to at this point. The Trudeau government has made it very clear they do not like real estate investors, and they do not like them being successful. Because if you're successful, you're going to pay a lot more tax. Anyways, on to this week's show. In the latest episode of our podcast, we had the pleasure of speaking to Milena Simsic, a remarkable individual who transitioned from being an ICU nurse to becoming a top 1% realtor in Windsor, Ontario. Milena's journey is a testament to the power of determination, strategic thinking, and adaptability. You'll also notice she's quite bright. Milena's story begins in a high-pressured environment of the ICU in Detroit, including during COVID. I can only imagine how difficult those times would have been. She worked there for 4 years, again, including during the COVID pandemic. Despite her passion for nursing, she realized that her financial goals and long-term aspirations required a different path. Intrigued by the potential of real estate, she saved and bought her first investment property, which was a sixplex, all within 8 months of starting her nursing career. By the end of her first year, and then she became a realtor shortly after, and then by the end of her first year, she had achieved $300,000 in gross commission income, as in gross commission income, as in like the sales generated, commissions earned from selling real estate, being a realtor, and then she immediately moved into the top 1% of realtors. We talk about how Windsor's market is booming, unlike much of the rest of the province, let alone anything new construction or condo, and how investors can take advantage of it. She also talks about how her business is pivoting, so I'll save that for her to explain. What I love about having this podcast is I get an hour of time from busy, successful, talented people like Milena, and we get to drill into what makes her tick, her secrets to success, and how it did not come easy, but rather from a lot of hard work. I've been lucky to have many past guests of the show, and I happen to hang out with seven-figure entrepreneurs all the time, so I have the experience. And I have experience again to identifying what talented people look and act like and behave, and I'd count Milena among them. You don't become a top 1% realtor without talent and hard work. If you're in the Windsor area, you definitely want to check out the Windsor REI Social, hosted by Milena and Brandon Finn. That is the largest real estate networking event in Windsor, Ontario. Milena has honored me as with an invite to be this guest speaker on Wednesday, June 19th, 6 p.m. at the Wineology Restaurant and Bar. I'll be sharing my journey of 20 years as a landlord, including having worked with 350 past clients, nearly $500 million in investment real estate transactions, and that's book value. And we'll talk about that recent pivot that we're making, my wife and I, to investing in the U.S. I do have to say kudos to our hosts, Milena and Brandon Finn, for hosting a speaker on the subject of USA investing. Not many local real estate professionals would, because they're not. In the background, we are talking about them acquiring properties, but as you can expect, many people who make a living off selling local real estate do not want this to get out there. The link to register for the meetup is in the show notes. I have an Eventbrite link. To follow Milena, you can go to Instagram or our website or her Facebook. Again, like she says, just search her name. She's everywhere. Thanks to a lot of hard work in building that social media profile, and her online assets are quite outstanding. So if you want to learn about social media, this is going to be a great episode for you. Please enjoy the show. Hi, Milena. What's keeping you busy these days?
Well, right now the Windsor market it's starting to make its way back up after we had that dip back in December with the multiple rate hikes. But yeah, my realtor team and my event over here, that's mainly what's keeping me busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about the Windsor market, because it's behaving a lot different than the GTA from our last conversation. You and I were chatting about it
Yeah.
like a month ago, how certain things are like real estate winter. Like Hamilton is still quite a bit slow, and you're saying like stuff's on fire in Windsor.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were just talking about that, like how I have quite a few realtor friends over in the GTA, and they're saying that a lot of the inventory there is sitting for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
For Windsor right now, we have, three multi-billion-dollar projects going on. So we have the bridge that's almost to completion. I think they're only 11 meters away before that's done. So anticipate maybe the next few months that'll be open. We got the electric vehicle battery plant that's going to bring a few thousand jobs, and
And that's
yeah,
Stellantis.
Stellantis, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, formerly known as Chrysler. I don't know what happened in the history.
Honestly, I'm not familiar with the history, but yeah, I'm sure there's something going on there.
Right.
But and then the third one, we got a mega hospital coming here as well, which is massive. I think they're going to break ground on that next year. I know they're already hiring consultants for this that have moved into Windsor. Actually, a couple of them were my clients, so I've been
Mm-hmm.
getting some info on that. And that hospital is probably going to rival London's, which is going to be insane for, a smaller city like Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that I think those are like the main contributing factors on top of all the population moving in because of these developments. Like we actually have traffic here for the first, we never had traffic like a
Oh,
couple years
okay.
ago, never. So yeah, it takes a little bit longer to get from one end of town to the other, but Yeah, I think the Windsor market is it's moving up for sure.
I know you post about stats all the time. Can you share some stats that just to highlight for the listener, like what kind of activity you're seeing? Like for example, I remember
Absolutely.
seeing you posting like monthly averages, and it's going up fast.
Yes. So I actually run the Windsor real estate price guide. So we have 5,000 subscribers for that at the moment. And if anybody's interested in that,
Hmm.
feel free to check out my social media, Milena Simsic everywhere. So yeah, we definitely have a good pulse on the market. So what basically happened to Windsor the past 2 years in 30 seconds or less? Our peak was in February of 2022. Our average sales price was around 720,000. And then December 2022, we reached our bottom at 470,000. And since then, we've sort of seen a slight creeping up and then a little bit of a dip in the summer 2023. And now we're starting to head up. So beginning of this year, we were right around the 500,000 for average price. And then after, like right now, we're at 580. So just within the past, yeah, the past, that's a big, maybe not a big jump for Toronto, but for our little numbers here, it's quite a large percentage. That's like 12 or 13% increase. Is just like in less than half the year, so 5 months here.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not. It's a mixed bag for GTA. Like, it's truly a mixed bag. Like anything on land without a tenant generally is doing quite well,
Right.
versus anything that's new and or in the sky, like a condo apartment. Those are like it's
Mhm.
totally different. A friend of mine from Toronto was telling me it's about. It seems like only like 1 in 4 new listings for condos sell. So
That's
it's
insane.
complete buyer's market for that versus a house on land is a complete seller's market.
Exactly. Well, you know what? We have some condos and new builds over here as well. So the new builds in Windsor are mainly luxury because it makes sense for developers to be on that higher price tag because of the development fees and the cost of land here. So I mean luxury in Windsor that probably starts around 800,000. So yeah,
Doesn't even get
I
you a
know
townhouse in the GTA.
it's like baby numbers to you guys over there, but it's a lot of money for us over here. So yeah, I mean, those right now, the newer builds here, I see those sitting a little bit longer. Like the luxury homes here are obviously sitting, but if you're looking at, your typical 2 to 4 bedroom homes around the 500, 600 range and under, those go like hotcakes over
Right.
here just because there's so much demand for a nice detached house in
Hmm.
Ontario. And right now we're the
Hmm.
cheapest large city in all of Ontario with,
Right.
decent amenities. And, we got Detroit right across there and good appreciation at the moment.
At the moment as well, I can't think of a city in Ontario that's getting more investment.
Yeah, I heard of St. Thomas. That's a smaller city that's getting popular. They're
Yeah,
around
are they
at
getting a bridge in a
40,000.
hospital too?
No, no, they're not. I don't.
What do they need a bridge for in St. Thomas?
They need about 300,000 more people too. So it's I had I had a couple clients like compare Windsor to St. Thomas, and I'm like, I
Uh-huh.
love
Yeah.
St. Thomas, but I mean it. We're a little bit, I think, like 6 times the size of that right now, and we
Hmm.
got a lot more going on. St. Thomas is close to London, which is great for that town, but I think that's honestly that one is and Timmons. I feel like those are really hot spots for cheaper markets. I don't know. That's what
Hmm.
I've been hearing amongst my clients. They always
Right.
consider Timmins, St. Thomas, or Windsor.
Interesting.
So,
Should be lots of available supply in Timmins with the very public bankruptcy going on.
right, exactly. I'm like, that's what I was saying.
It was hot
But
for the wrong reasons.
yes,
Was
exactly,
there
exactly.
should be lots of
Right,
deals for people who like that market. I personally don't
exactly.
prefer. I personally don't like small markets. That one's a really small market.
And it's harder to get financing in smaller. Like I think if it's what's the cutoff for like larger multifamilies, 40 or 60K before the banks start to really like God, there's I don't know much about the financing side of things there, but I heard it's much harder to get financing if a town's like population is under 40,000.
Yeah, I think Timmins is like 42,000. but it's also
Yeah, they're like,
far away from anything else as well. I think it's like an
exactly.
hour and a half to the next secondary, tertiary market.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Windsor's compared to that frequently, which is interesting.
Now I want to dig into your past. That sounds terrible.
Okay. I got lots of skeletons, I'm sure.
Yes. You know, it's funny because like every nurse I know, I always say thank you for your service. I can't appreciate how hard it is what nurses do, but it looks pretty
Well,
damn
thank
hard from
you.
the outside.
Yeah, I think it's harder in the from the inside. Well, thank you for recognizing that and for thanking me for my service. I don't think of myself as like service. It was I mean I enjoyed my job back when I was working even through COVID. Like it was terrifying, but I really liked my coworkers. I liked working with my patients, and I felt like I had sort of an obligation to stay throughout the pandemic.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm happy to talk about my past there. So I was an ICU nurse in Detroit for a few years before I
Oh my
came
god.
into
What's that
yeah.
like?
It's fun. It's really fun.
It's fun.
We have a
I
good
imagine there's
time.
lots of is it like the TV shows?
Yeah, and no, it's nothing like the TV shows. The doctors aren't there most of the time, just so you know. Like you see like in what's that popular Grey's Anatomy? There's like 10 doctors in a room and they're all like coming up with a plan for the patient, but in reality it's like a few nurses and we're trying to reach the doctors and then one of them comes in if we're lucky and then we try to figure out how to fix the situation. But yeah, nothing like the TV shows.
Okay, but not like
Um
a constant
and
stream of really mangled people.
Oh, yeah. Well, there is worse than that, I think. Yeah, it could get quite graphic depending on what floor you're on. But I was in the medical ICU, so mostly I worked through COVID. So most of my patients were COVID patients. But originally our floor had a lot of like transplant patients and like patients with liver issues. So it can it could definitely get graphic with the surgeries and the
Right.
complications of those two things. But yeah, I was mainly working with COVID patients. So I worked as a nurse, I believe, from maybe it was 4 years, 2018. Yeah, 2018 to 2022. So just a little under 4 years. February of 2022, I got out of the field as soon as I got my real estate license. And
Hmm.
it's so funny. I worked throughout the whole pandemic, a whole year unvaccinated, a year with 3 vaccines. And at my very last shift, I quit my job. I got COVID from that last shift. Like scenes. I'm like, I almost made it out, but yeah, it caught me at the last minute. So, anyways, I worked through that. While I was working as a nurse, I actually bought a couple of properties, one right before the pandemic and then one during the pandemic. So my first one was a 6 unit building. I actually house hacked that. So I lived in one unit. I was able to get that for 15% down through RBC. They have a residential mortgage between 4 to 6 units.
Hmm.
So I got that. And then my second one was a duplex conversion. So I regret going smaller. I should have got like another big building. That duplex conversion was more work than that 6 unit building ever
Hmm.
was.
Hmm.
So I just like completed that. That took me like a year and a half of renos with the city permits and all of that.
Oh my, year and a
Um,
half.
a year and a half. It took like I don't remember, 6 to 8 months to just get the permit approved and then to get the inspectors in. Like you could imagine how long that took.
That's
But
ridiculous. I mean,
yes,
the process has
ridiculous.
improved, has it not?
No, not at all. Not at all. But
Okay.
it's it, I we're in a housing crisis here. We're trying to build units and the city's giving us. I could have built a whole like house by the time I got this basement unit done. So anyway, so that was my portfolio while I was in nursing. I had like a 22 unit under contract here. It didn't really pan out. But I'm looking for like my next big project now that I'm a realtor. I have the team now. So February 2022, started as a realtor. I was working at my social media following on the real estate investing side. My last few months of nursing, I had like 10,000 followers by the time I got into this as a realtor. Hit the ground running with clients from that social media. And in my first year, I did, 300K GCI. I started a team, and now it was really, really fast. But now I have, my own office. This is in the background here. I got 3 realtors under me currently. I'm adding on 2 more. And yeah, I run the largest real estate investor networking event in Windsor. I have the largest, real estate newsletter in Windsor. And it's all because of social media and, really putting my message out there.
Mm-hmm. That was a mouthful.
Yeah. Is that enough? Did I explain everything?
Just quickly, 300K GCI. So that's gross commission income in your first year, which has got to be historic levels.
Thank you for Windsor. Yeah.
No, for anyone.
Thank you.
Just don't forget, like half of TREB agents, Toronto Real Estate Board agents, half do 0 to 1 deal. So that's nowhere near close to that kind of income that you're making.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm always like aiming for more. So I didn't think it was that impressive at the time because I was looking at larger, but thank you for saying that. But I always set the bar like really high for myself because I was coming out of a career where I was making, 100 to 120,000 a year. So I'm like, if I'm coming into this, I definitely have to step my game up, especially with, the business expenses and growing a team and, all that fun stuff. But thank you. I'm not, you could compliment me more. I like that.
Well, let's help you staff your business too. What are you looking for in team members? Because it's a very common question I get from people entering, getting their realtor license is how should I start? I often tell them consider joining a team. Because it's a business. It's not easy to start from nothing. So
exactly.
let's share with our listener, what are you looking for a team member?
Absolutely. So somebody willing to learn, obviously very, very important. If they have their own investment properties, that's preferred, not a requirement. I'm helping, a couple, a team member of mine get their first investment property. So if they don't have one, I typically make them work with our single family homeowners until they get that experience. Willing to learn. Integrity is definitely a big part of my business. We believe in developing long-term trust with our clients, long-term relationships and referral business. So, that's obviously treating your clients with integrity, asking them what their goals are, working with their goals, and never ever pushing a sale based on your own agenda. So that's very important to me. We do make a lot of sales, but we make it the right way. And that's what I really want to push in this team. We get our clients based on the amount of value that we can provide them. Fourth thing, I got a whole list. Like I actually have this whole list of requirements. Maybe that's why I'm having trouble finding people, but definitely not joining for the leads. I have a lot of leads, but what happens with a lot of realtors that join for the leads and they don't do well on their own is they don't know how to convert. And I could definitely teach conversion, but you have to, again, be willing to learn. So, yeah, plenty of leads here, but if you're joining just for the leads, like human beings that you're working with, then consider a different team definitely. But yeah, I think that's my main 4 requirements for a realtor.
Right. Yeah. Now, just as an observation, like not all teams have leads, so it makes sense that you would have high requirements.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because many teams will just teach you to go find your own leads and then they want to get paid on them.
Yes, exactly.
But here you are offering people who've already put their hand up and want to work with you.
Right, exactly. I mean, my realtors, like my 2 newest ones right now, the main people they work with are the ones that I provide them. So it's like over 90% of the clients they work with are from my leads. But if you're going to work with the leads I provide you, they definitely have to have top-notch service. And
Mm-hmm.
I do get involved. I don't micromanage, but I'm the team lead. So if there's any problems, people come to me, and if they need to work something out, they come to me as well. Yeah, it's just like I definitely do look for higher quality realtors if I'm going to provide clients to them, because we really do care about our clients here. And I told you at the conference, I did like a whole rant on this, but yeah.
It's
So
not easy.
I agree. No, it's not easy. It isn't.
It looks so easy
You
watching your
know,
social media. I know that's a lot
right?
of work.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. Yeah. So I try to, I teach my realtors, there's really the basics of being a realtor. Like, you get your basics down, you could become that, high producing realtor, but you really have to know how to properly follow up, how to, reach out to your clients, how to talk to your clients. So, yeah, I have plenty of leads, but, you definitely have to be willing to learn and want to work them properly.
How much time do you spend a week on your social media?
Um, when I first started, it must have been like 30, 40 hours a week at least. And yeah, I know.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, it was a full-time job for me. And I did the realtor stuff as well on top of that. So I obviously hired out since then. So, I have a videographer, I have a video editor, probably cut it down to maybe 5 hours a week now, because all I have to do is script and come up with the video ideas at this point.
Okay. For those who don't know you, tell who haven't seen your social media before, which is like nobody, but I'm sure there's one out
Yeah,
there.
right.
Tell us about your social media strategy.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I guess I started in this field a couple of years ago. My social media strategy at the beginning was to appeal to real estate investors, and I still do. But my main, like, overall strategy is education, value, and inspiration. So I tend to lean very heavily on the education aspect of it. Um, my team did start more of like a personality sort of brand. So we're showing like more of our team members, just kind of the personality side of things, not so much the statistics, which I am very heavy on. I run the price guide. I know all the stats of Windsor, and I could talk forever about it.
Hmm.
But a certain segment of the market, like about half of it, gets bored listening to that, and they want to know you as a person. So originally, very, very education and stats heavy, which I still do on my end. But for my team now, we're doing more like personality branding there.
And then tell us the difference between like TikTok and Instagram. Like from what do you think about the two?
Yeah, I mean, TikTok, I've kind of honestly let go of there. It had a heyday a year ago. I
No
think,
kidding. I had no idea.
yeah,
I'm so out of it.
I'm very pop.
I don't have TikTok on my phone, so I'm really out
It's
of
funny because
it.
I'm very popular on like, I have over 20,000 followers or something on TikTok, but I got a lot of clients from it back, in the day it was like really ramping up its creators. I had like, multiple videos with 500,000 plus views. But I found that something about the algorithm has changed. It's not really pushing the education content more. I feel like it's more, short form clips, entertainment, which I'm not very good at. And also there's the fact that it's been, it looks like it's going to be outlawed in the US, and it's only a matter of time before it comes to Canada. So I find that my client conversion is highest on YouTube and Instagram. So that's what I've been focusing mostly on. Instagram mainly. Better for making connections, higher quality leads there. But
Interesting.
yeah, TikTok definitely helped me get my business started though. So I'm not gonna, put it down. It's just I don't see much of a future with it, so I'm not investing as much into it.
We're probably just upset a whole bunch of people who invested way too much in TikTok.
I'm sorry. You know what? I could be wrong, but like, I look at the trends in the US and it almost always comes to Canada. Like, you know, the NAR settlement over there. I don't know if you heard about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
for,
Oh, yeah. I follow it closely. I'm scared, just like everybody
yeah.
else is.
Yeah, but you know, since I heard that was coming, I'm like, okay, you know
Oh, sorry,
what?
just
We're
pause
gonna
you there.
pivot the
NAR is
oh,
the acronym for National Association of Realtors. Yeah. So, sorry, continue.
sorry, go ahead. Yeah, yeah. So basically like that the whole situation over there is that it's not going to be as great for buyer realtors. That's the whole thing, right?
Hmm.
So what we're doing over here now in my business is we're focusing more on listings. So we're very like since we have the social media thing going on and I learned a lot about how to market myself. I know how to
Hmm.
market properties as well. So our whole thing here is to market listings. In case this does ever come to Canada, we're going to be the main listing team over here in Windsor. And we already are. Like I think we got like 20, 25 listings up within the past few weeks, which is,
Hmm.
you know, pretty good in the second year of business. Um, and yeah, you could even look it up on realtor.ca, like what we have up right now. We sold a few over the weekend. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and that's the main thing. But yeah, it's all about pivoting. You know, if I don't see if I don't see something working in 3 to 5 years, I'm not gonna focus my effort into it because I have, you know, long-term plans for this team. So
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's exact same thing for my people. Like I want long-term realtors here and I want to build them up and I want them to be successful and have teams under teams eventually. So
Amazing. Now,
yeah.
I meant to ask this earlier. What got you interested in real estate? You already had a six-figure job that had a pension. Am I correct?
It probably did. I don't remember, but I you know,
You're young. Don't worry
I
about
did.
that stuff. Retirement. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I did worry about it. You know what happened though when I was in university and I was like making my life plan like for the next 10 to 20 years. I'm like, okay, I want a couple of digs. I want a couple of kids, a couple of dogs. I have my two dogs right now, a nice house. I got my nice house now. You know, I want the nice, you know, just a nice living area. And I was doing the math. You know, if I get a husband and he makes this much and I make this much and we
Hmm.
save this much every single year, it'll take us like 20 to 30 years to save $1 million. I'm like,
Hmm.
and this is if we live on bare bones. And I'm not going to be
Sounds
able to
exciting.
afford all the, yeah. So I'm like, well, this is complete, you know, crap. I don't want to work in this incredibly difficult career for 20 to 30 years and get nothing out of it. So
Hmm.
I did that math in university, started my first business in university. It was a home care agency, didn't do well, so dropped it. And then I started working as a nurse, found out about real estate investing. So it was a no-brainer for me. It's like you have your tenants paying down your mortgage, you make cash flow on top of that, and
Hmm.
then you're going to have a building that's fully paid off if you hang on to it and don't refinance, which, you know, I think is refinancing is a great strategy depending in 25 years. Like you have
Hmm.
somebody else paying for your retirement. So sorry, let me my phone is going off. I'm so sorry. It connects to the computer here and everything goes blank. Um, yeah, so essentially like you have tenants paying for your retirement for 25 years and then you have this building that's been appreciating this entire time that you haven't, you know, you've been making money out of and you have somebody paying down the mortgage. It was a no-brainer. So you know, I bought my first building after I did the math on that within God, I think my first 8 months of nursing. I saved every single
Hmm.
penny I could. I saved money from university because I worked in a factory those 4 years and I had a scholarship that paid for most of my tuition. Um, and yeah, that's how
Okay,
I
so
got that.
this is all more clicking now. You're pretty smart.
Mm, thank you. I appreciate that.
They don't give scholarships to chumps.
I hope not. Yeah. So yeah, I got, you know, the mid 90s in high school. I got into nursing when I was 18 and yeah, I mean it helped a lot.
Interesting.
Maybe
I just
yeah,
have noticed
thank
a
you.
high correlation of smart people in real estate investing. in different degrees,
Yeah.
right? It can be passive, it can be active, whatever. But
Right.
like my clientele is generally quite well educated, and
Yes.
even if they, even if they don't follow like mainstream educated, like whatever, went to university, whatever, they're smart as
Hmm.
heck, right? Like I
Absolutely.
can tell, like,
Yeah.
and I jokingly say like those who can do math can problem solve their way of like hedging inflation, and then they end up at
Right.
the answer of owning real estate, right?
Right.
Because you're just problem
Exactly.
solving, right?
I
Now,
agree.
did your family inspire you at all? Like they give any advice for real estate or nothing? Like, no.
No, I get that question a lot. My family was so against it. They don't own it. Like I have three family members in all of North America. Most of them are in Bosnia. None of them own any real estate in Bosnia or North America. So when I bought my first building, they thought I was going to go bankrupt. They thought I was absolutely insane, and it was going to, I was basically going to go broke. And obviously that didn't happen. I had like $1 million net worth after, I fixed up the buildings, it appreciated with the Windsor market and all of that. So that's, if I sell everything, I would have like over 1 million cash right now
Hmm.
from those buildings.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean they think it's a great idea now, but I had everybody, my friends, my family, my boyfriend at the time, his family was against it too. Like everybody was telling me how stupid it was, and
What would
I
they
did it
say?
anyways.
What part of
Well,
it was stupid?
so
They
I
prefer gold. They
so
prefer Bitcoin. Like what do they prefer? S&P 500.
so my boyfriend's family, my husband now, they heard I was doing this and they're like, they have their house paid off, right?
Yeah,
So I was gonna get a mortgage with 15% down on the sixplex for 420,000. So they thought it was really stupid. I was gonna be, what, $360,000 in debt at my age. They're like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, which kudos, it's fine to them, but I needed the leverage because I didn't have anything else. And then my parents, they had an issue with the location of the six unit. Obviously, it's not even on the west end of Windsor. It's like in Walkerville. It's where my office is. It's literally like a 2 minute walk from my office. And they thought this was the worst area in Windsor because we lived in, Forest. We didn't even live in a good building. I don't know why why they were so against the area, but they're like, yeah, there's gonna be, it's going to burn down or somebody's going to break into it, which it's not an issue here. So that was the main thing with them. And then obviously the money that it cost, it was a, $420,000 building, which was a lot of money to them at the time. Right. So yeah, I mean, I remember that. They're very supportive now because like, look where it got me. But yeah, that was that. That gives a good
interesting.
overview. Yeah.
Interesting. I would have thrown it back to them like, how would you suggest to fight inflation?
Yeah, I know. I listen. You know what? I didn't even argue with it because I'm very stubborn. I know my math. I know my morals. I know who I am. I know
Yeah,
what I'm gonna do, and you're not gonna, change my mind if you don't have more experience than me. I
yeah,
only listen to people where I want to be. That's a thing. So, if you're ahead of me and you have this great life, I'm going to listen to all of your advice. But if you're not where I want to be in life,
yeah, yeah.
I respect your opinion. I understand where you are, but I'm gonna go ahead and do my thing.
Yeah, your path is better. I just like to argue.
Yeah,
Because if you're
I'm
telling me real estate
tired.
investing is bad, yeah, go ahead and try and answer my question on how you fight inflation then. Let's hear
Listen,
it.
I am so tired of arguing with people, Erwin. I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? You're not there yet. You could just watch me. Just sit there and watch me. I don't have time for this. So, and that's how I got so far. It's just like, yeah. I mean, as far as I have now, I'm sure there's people that have done better and are optimizing
Hmm.
more, but I did what I can with what I had, and
Hmm.
I'm proud of it, and I'm gonna go further.
Now let's talk to someone who's learning about Windsor or real estate investing for the first time.
Right.
What are you telling your clients? Like, what should if they look like the timing to me seems right to deploy capital. Market's very fearful. There's
Yeah.
the like it's to me it's only gonna get it's only gonna get worse in terms of because it sounds like it's a seller's market. Am I right? It's a seller's market in Windsor.
I would say like right now we're heading like it's a little bit of a seller's market.
Yeah.
Springtime definitely hot seller's market, but it starts to slow down in the summer. If interest rates drop, it's definitely going to shoot back up to a
Right.
seller's. But if they don't,
Right.
with the amount of listings that come in, I think we're going to even out here. So it's not as hot as people think it is. Definitely hotter than Toronto because there's better deals
Which is
here
crazy.
for
Did you ever
land.
think you'd say
Right.
that?
I mean, I never thought that. Yeah, but yeah, it's just like it's you could get more for cheaper here. It's a good city to live in. You got Detroit, which is also substantially coming up right across the border. Just have so much going on. So I think like we have such good deals here, and that's what's attracting people.
That's right. So my point was, I think it's doesn't get easier for buyers from here on out.
Absolutely. Yeah. In Windsor, I think the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be unaffordable like the rest of Ontario. Like it's only a matter of time. So yeah, we're probably Windsor and Chatham, probably the last resort for, large cities
Right.
to get in before things start to blow up everywhere.
Yeah, I'm on the Windsor Essex County Association of Realtors website. Average sale price 580. Sounds pretty unaffordable already.
Yeah, I mean,
Even for like a
compared to
couple that make combined household income of 200 grand, like
yeah.
580 is still a lot of money.
Well, you know what? The 580 is like it takes, the luxury and everything into account. If you're looking for a starter home, like if
Yeah.
if they're okay with a 2 bed, 1 bath
Hmm.
bungalow in a decent area of Windsor, they could get away with like 400s. Under 400, it's more difficult. You have to go into the rougher areas of Windsor. But yeah, I mean, I like a 400K mortgage is, I think, pretty doable if you got a professional income and a good savings.
Hmm.
Um, 580 is pushing it. You probably need two professional incomes, but yeah, I mean, if you want to get in the market, you gotta lower expectations.
Hmm.
I think at this point, if you want to stay in Ontario.
Right. And 580 doesn't even get you a one bedroom condo in Toronto.
Right,
so,
exactly. So, I mean,
so pretend I'm a first time investor. What would you be guiding me towards for investment in Windsor?
yeah, so I mean, it would depend on your goals. Like if you're looking for a house hack, I normally recommend, basement units. I'm actually house hacking the duplex conversion I'm doing, and I'm making a $2,000 per month profit while living in the house, while living in it. So I'm Airbnb-ing the lower unit because there's so many short-term workers coming over here. I'm making
Hmm.
4,000 a month off of this. So yeah. And of course, I got good marketing and I did good staging, and that's a huge factor in the occupancy rate, but I'm at over 95% occupancy. Yeah.
You have a 5% vacancy on a short term
Yeah.
rental. Or sorry, are they
Yes.
short term?
And
Are they mid term? How long are the terms that people are
short
staying?
term. It's an Airbnb, so it ranges from like 1 day to the longest I've had was 40 days.
Your cleaner
Yeah.
must be really busy.
Yes. Yeah. I had a lot of there's cross-border workers, there's like, kids that are under 21 coming here to drink if they're overnight, like 19 to 21. You know
You
how it
rented them
that's
too, eh?
yeah, I get they've been pretty well behaved surprisingly, but yeah, they always leave some drinks down there for us. I don't
That's
drink,
nice of
but
them. Oh,
if you ever come to Windsor, I have so much alcohol from these kids coming over. But yeah,
okay.
surprisingly, like the tenant pool has been pretty respectful of the space. I haven't had any issues. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, anyways, what I would recommend to the I mean, beginner investors, if they're house hacking, definitely a basement unit. I might look for a house that also has the potential to add a tiny home in the back. So you would need I recommend at least 4,000 square feet for the lot size. There's actually a website that can show you what if you can build an ADU in the back.
Hmm.
Depending on the square footage of the current structure and the square footage of the lot. I believe it's called ADUsearch.ca. So that's a good one. So that's what I would do if I were you know someone just starting out, they're looking to house hack,
Got it.
get something with a basement where you can finish it up, rent
Right.
it out. Um,
Also, just
B
pause you.
class area,
ADU stands for accessory dwelling unit.
correct.
ADUsearch.ca. So yeah, so this ADU would count for basement suite or garden suite. I think is the most popular term for, which is basically a tiny home in your backyard.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the ADU search will show you the tiny home or the garden suite potential. It doesn't show the basement unit potential because,
Oh,
it's hard
interesting.
to,
Oh yeah, they don't know.
yeah.
They don't know. They don't know what's in your house.
Yeah, exactly. I
That'd be kind of
wish
creepy if
that
they
would be
did.
creepy. Yeah, exactly. But
ADU.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
so ADU search is specific to your backyard. Yeah, so they must be using
correct.
GPS imagery and stuff and overlap with like a zoning map.
Yes,
Fascinating.
correct. Yeah.
Is this government? Who
So
who, who does this?
there's a girl, I forget her name, but she was in the Windsor Star recently. She built one of the first tiny homes in Windsor. Same with, I actually have a realtor on the team here, Clark. He built one of the first tiny homes here as well. So she's like the tiny home girl, and he's the tiny home guy. I can't remember her name, but you can find her in the Windsor Star for ADU search. It was government funded, so she
Interesting.
built that website. Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
The government needs to step on up on these things, including cutting red tape. How long to get permits for an
exactly.
ADU for a basement for a
Right.
backyard tiny home?
Ridiculous. Clark, he did quite a few of them. He's in the city office all the time. He's pushing these guys, okay? And
Hmm.
I think it's like I know he's been able to build it with permits and everything within 9 to 12 months, which is like record time, but he's always in that office pushing these permits. So, yeah, I guess it would depend on who you know in there too.
Fascinating. And then so what if do these still make sense? Like a basement apartment house with a basement apartment house and tiny home for just a regular investor who lives out of town?
Yeah, I think so because I mean if you get a house for like with basement unit potential in a B class area, maybe you could get away with 450K, 400 if you're lucky. And then you build the basement unit. If you manage the project yourself, I did mine with, 50K of renos, but I manage the contractors and everything. If you hire out for that, it's going to be, obviously a lot more. Um, and then let's say you build a 2 bedroom basement unit, you could get like 1,800 a month for it. At long term, we're not talking short term. And then normally there's 3 bedrooms in the top. Then you could get like 2,100 a month off of that.
Those are great numbers.
Yeah. So, and on top of that, if you do build the basement unit, the
Hmm.
property value goes up substantially. So you're
Hmm.
looking at least 550 for the property value. Like the cheapest basement ADU I could find on the market was for 560, and I got that one for my clients in South Windsor. So that was an A class area. But normally they would go 600 plus.
How is the current resale market for duplexes? Would it be advisable to buy an existing one or just to do your own conversion?
It would depend on your goals. I mean, like the issue with a lot of current duplexes is I mean, if you're looking for that price range for a duplex in Windsor, it's going to have a lot of work to do on it. And normally they have problem tenants in there. So it would really depend on the duplex deal. Like a turnkey duplex in Windsor is around the same price as the ADU I mentioned.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I mean, it would, yeah, I mean, it would probably be the same for resale, honestly, but it would depend on the tenants, it would depend on the finishes, the condition,
Hmm.
a lot of factors there.
Windsor's. I can't think of a city in Ontario with the same volatility as Windsor.
You know what? We weren't that volatile compared to other markets. Like we were shifting slower than the GTA during
Hmm.
2022. I was keeping an eye on the numbers every month there. So we weren't dropping or rising as much as every other market. So it probably because of the developments, but we still had a huge drop, obviously, with the interest rate rises.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I found that the at least during the past couple of years, I found the GTA and other, larger, more expensive markets were more volatile, maybe because of the condos there. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
COVID had a factor. Um,
The
Yeah.
condos are just a special category.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have many condos in Windsor, so maybe that's why it's not
Yeah.
as volatile because we're mostly detached houses.
Hmm.
So those tend to stay more stable than the condos there.
Windsor attracted a lot of investors as well during COVID.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And how would
I
now
mean,
compare to then? Like that, I think everyone was going to Windsor. At least everyone knew someone going to Windsor.
yeah, so I mean, we still have a lot of investors coming here. It's again like the cheapest large city in all of Ontario. So I could see the benefit of coming here plus the appreciation
Yeah,
potential. Um, but
because of all the
yeah,
investment in the city,
right,
and not just from
exactly.
investors. I
So
mean, like the $1 billion projects, the bridge, the hospital, and Stellantis with their
absolutely.
they're building a battery plant.
Exactly. Yeah. So like those three huge projects we got going on definitely attracted a lot of investors over here. But during COVID, I found it was mostly like homeowners that were coming here because they got remote work, right? So a lot of them worked in the GTA.
Hmm.
They went to a remote position and then they were able to move out of the city and, you could get a condo, a one bed condo in the GTA for 600, or you could get a 3 bed, 2 bath, nice house in South Windsor for 600 with a lot of land. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's where I found a lot of my clientele was from. I definitely did have a lot of multifamily investors, but everybody was so excited with the interest rate
Hmm.
dips. Everyone was buying everything. So, yeah, but Windsor definitely had some different factors that attracted investors here.
Well, how's Windsor for short-term rental regulations?
So, August of 2022, they did pass a rental, like a short-term rental bylaw. So you cannot rent out Airbnbs if it's not your personal residence.
Oh,
So
damn.
far, yeah, but here's the catch. They have the bylaw, but there's not much enforcement on it. So you still see a lot of Airbnbs still operating regardless if it's their personal residence or not. And the people I heard that have gotten caught in it, all the city, this is what I've been hearing from, property managers that deal with this. What I've been hearing is that all the proof they had to give to the city was a utility bill showing that they lived there, and they let them go on with, which was ridiculous, right? It's like, of course you're
That
going to
proves
be paying
nothing.
utility. I know. So that's what I heard that 6 months ago. So I don't know if
How about a
anything.
driver's license at least?
Right, exactly. Like do something. But yeah, that's what I've heard so far. There you can see it. Like just look up on Airbnb. There's so many in Windsor right now, and it's definitely not their personal residence for sure. The one I'm operating, I do it legally. It
What's in your
actually
home?
is my personal. Yeah, it's in my home. So but if you can't do Airbnb, midterm rentals are a really good option. So the short term only applies to stays under 30 days. You could still make so much money from midterm rentals here because of the amount of short term workers coming to
Hmm.
Windsor.
Hmm.
We have thousands of people working cross border. Thousands. I was one of them, as a nurse. So a lot of people come to work here for the three hospitals in Windsor, the mega hospital coming up, the bridge, the plants. There's like real estate investors coming here.
Hmm.
There's so many people coming to Windsor to stay short term. So yeah, midterm rentals are completely legal. Short term, not if it's not your personal residence.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean there's a very high market for short term rentals at the moment.
Amazing. And then how do you market midterm rental differently than a short term?
I don't have any personal experience in midterm rentals, but from what I've heard from people that do operate it in Windsor, they actually reach out to these companies specifically, and then let them know about the opportunity for the rental.
Hmm.
Sometimes they'll market it on Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace, or I'm not entirely sure where else. I don't think they can put it on Airbnb legally. Um,
Oh, no? Really?
yeah,
Huh. They can't just set a
yeah,
minimum stay at 30 days?
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I would assume if it was at least 30 days, it wouldn't be an issue. But I don't know if the bylaw specifically states no Airbnb, and that could be the issue. But yeah, most of the time they reach out to the companies themselves to find workers that want to stay there for
Right.
however many months. Yeah.
Yeah. Classic. Love it. Oh, and then let's talk about Windsor REI Social. Tell us more about that.
All right. Oh, I'm so excited for our next one. We got so so Windsor REI is the largest real estate investor networking event in all of Windsor, Ontario. We got 2,500 members here. They're all amazing people. And we have Erwin actually coming June 19th to talk about US real estate investing, which everybody is super excited about.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's basically a networking event. We get a guest speaker every single month. So it's normally towards the end of the month on a Wednesday. And yeah, we just get like, a great group of people. Normally it's around 40 to 100 people that come out to these every month.
Oh, now I'm feeling
And
the
yeah,
pressure.
oh yeah, yeah,
That's a
they're
big
all
group.
gonna love you. You don't have to. Everyone loves you there, so they all know you. But I'm sure you'll see a lot of familiar faces there. But yeah, it's like it's a really good, helpful group of people. Everybody's making deals, talking deals. It's really like your network is your net worth, and it's really a great place to go in Windsor if you want to build those connections. Like we welcome brand new investors with no properties, and then we have some people with like we had with 500 units. So yeah, it's really a great community. We like to keep it that way, a helpful, positive community. And yeah,
Looking
it's a good
forward to
group.
it. Yeah, you're throwing me for a loop because I don't get to bring my laptop and PowerPoint. So,
Oh, don't worry.
so I'm gonna bring my easel and a big pad of paper and some Sharpies.
Oh,
So
if you want an easel, I will bring this. Like I will bring this one here for you if you want it. Don't even worry about it. Just
that
yeah,
looks
this
pretty
is my
big.
little
You're little. That's just
if you
what you're walking over. Like how far is the venue from your office?
it's not far. It's literally like a 3-minute walk, so it's fine.
You're gonna push that thing three.
I will. I don't care. I'm fine with it. I carried a Christmas tree down Walkerville before. Like I've legit, like it was taller than me. I was carrying this Christmas tree to the
Uh-huh.
office because I walked by and there was a thrift shop selling their like last year's Christmas decorations in November. So that I got this thing for $3. Like it was a beautiful $3, $3 for a
Uh-huh.
Christmas tree. And I'm like, I'm getting it now. And they're like, do you need help? I'm like, no, I'm just going to carry it. Picked it up. Literally, I walk into the office. Alyssa and Elisa are in there and they're like, what the hell are you doing? Like
Uh-huh.
carrying a Christmas tree on the street into the office by yourself. But yeah, that was the first year in the office. We had to get a Christmas tree. So that's, I don't mind carrying stuff for you, Erwin. It's better than the Christmas tree.
I'll put mine in the car. I have a Tesla just like you, so I have lots of room. I'll put my
Okay,
easel in the car just in case. But thank you,
perfect.
appreciate it. Now I have a bit of
Anytime.
an offbeat comment question. Like you're pretty kick ass, and you're a lady. Does does being a lady in real estate do you do you think there's anything different? Because again, like in real
Uh,
estate, there's so many badass women. You know what I mean? Like I was having dinner sitting across from Dahlia Barsoom, and on my left was Rachel Oliver, right?
mhm.
Two killers. You know what I mean? And I said that nice like as a compliment, right? They kill in
Thank you.
business. You know what I mean? Now, yeah, yourself, and add to that, you're quite young as well. But
Mhm.
do you have anything to say about that? Do you even think about these things?
I a lot. It's it's definitely a recurring theme in my business. The people make a lot of assumptions when you're a young woman that is successful in business. I don't know if you saw like Katie's speech in the multifamily conference. She's 28 and she just
Mhm.
sold the construction company for $86 million. Like, and I was taught she actually came to my event the year before and she was talking to me about her businesses and what really like we were talking about this and she said yeah, people just assume it's parents or you got a rich husband or this and that and it's fine like it doesn't really bother me because I came from ICU nursing, right? And I worked with it's a majority, which all of them are women, except for like one or two men there. And you really have to have like a different mindset to operate in that environment and really, really not care what others think and just, you're go for the goal. Like you're very focused over there. Like, the patient is your main concern. You can't let anybody, kind of deter you from that. But yeah, definitely I've had people comment, oh, you're only successful in real estate or on social media because you're a pretty young girl. Like I can't do that because you attract people because you're young and people want to work with you because you're young. And then you get the comments that are like, okay, well, you must have rich parents, you must have a rich husband, you must have
Hmm.
somebody helping you. And really uh, and it's fine and it doesn't bother me because it's like they're saying I have purple hair. It's not true. Somebody could say, oh, you have purple hair or you're 6 foot tall or 4 foot and they're making fun of you. But
Hmm.
why does it doesn't matter because it's not true.
Hmm.
So people can have opinions. All it is their own limiting mindsets. They think, okay, if I don't have these advantages, I can't succeed. It's just a
Hmm.
projection of their own insecurities. But yeah, I've definitely experienced something different than I think some men would, but everybody has issues when growing a business. It really, I don't think it really affects my business because I don't let it and I don't really think about it. It's like you just keep doing the right things in this business and you're
Hmm.
gonna keep growing. So yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I was going. I should. I was thinking my next question would be, what would you say to the women in real estate? Yeah, let's do that. What would you say to the
Yeah.
women in real estate, especially someone willing to start out?
Hmm. Well, the woman in real estate, I would say, exactly what I just said. It's like don't let other people's opinions affect what you're going to do. It's just a projection of their
Hmm.
own insecurities, and you're going to have people telling you all kinds of things, and you just can't let it get to you. And also, it's there's a lot of ego at play in this business, and I feel like I've definitely succumbed to to the ego there a couple of times. But yeah, it's just something you have to deal with and expect and just keep moving forward. So
Hmm.
the stats always speak for themselves. I'm a very numbers oriented person. I'm very A type. So I'm like, okay, if you have doubts about me, here are all my stats. I'll tell you all my numbers. I'll show you all my sales. It's out there on social media. So if anyone has doubts, look at that or I don't even have to review it with you because I don't really have the time or care enough to do that, but
Hmm.
it's all over the internet, the sales I'm doing. My properties, I share the numbers on that all the
Hmm.
time. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean,
And this is a
it is
very
what it
public
is.
show. You share that your
Exactly.
social media started at 30 to 40 hours a week.
Yeah,
So if someone
exactly.
wants to get started, maybe that's the place to
Mhm.
start. And that's that kind of
uh,
time.
I'm sure there's more efficient ways to do it, but that's what it took for me to grow so quickly. And I actually have a presentation. I spoke on a stage in front of like 500 investors, teaching them how to do social media. And I had a slide on there. I have a Hootsuite account. So it shows the stats of how many posts I put out, how many views I got, how many all of this. And I actually showed the stats from my 2022. And
Hmm.
I put out 415 posts and videos in that year.
Hmm.
415 in 2022 in order to get to where I'm at. So it just shows like, the amount of volume it takes to get to that point, and people
Hmm.
shouldn't get discouraged because sometimes it takes people a few years to get to that volume, right?
Hmm.
So I mean, I really pushed for it my first year because I quit my nursing job. I got my realtor license. I told everyone I was doing this and I had no
Hmm.
choice. So I'm like, go, 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 go. And yeah.
Can we get like your top 5 tips for someone starting a social media, anything? Especially,
Yeah.
especially now that you're saying that TikTok's like Again, we're gonna piss off some people.
I'm sorry. If you want to do TikTok, do TikTok. I got, my first 20,000 followers from that. Most of them that wanted to stay went to my Instagram and my YouTube and my database. So, TikTok, I think it's still good for now. Do I see it staying in the next 3 to 5 years? Probably not. So personally, I really like Instagram and YouTube. I'll tell you and Facebook. So the highest conversions you're going to get for clients are Facebook, YouTube, and then Instagram. That's what I personally found. Excuse me.
Right.
So that's what I personally found. So the highest conversion, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So I'm focusing on those three platforms mainly. If your goal is to get more followers, I think short-term content and reels on TikTok could probably get you far in a quick time, but I don't think it's going to stay around for too long. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's my first tip on the platforms and the lead conversion. Mm-hmm. As for content, volume is so important at the beginning. Putting in the reps so you actually know what you're doing later on and how to build your brand. You're only going to learn that by producing content and putting it out and seeing your audience's feedback. That's the only way you're going to learn. You can't sit around and analyze forever. You just have to pump out content and see how people react to it. Obviously, be authentic to yourself. Don't put out wrong information. I do a lot of research on my stats before I put out any educational information. And yeah, just keep doing that. The third thing, you have to see what appeals mostly to you. So I found the three main ways to attract an audience is to entertain, to educate, or to inspire. So find where your strength is in those three. So for me, it's mostly education. I'm not very good at entertainment. I'm a very numbers-oriented person and I can't dance. And then inspiration, I've started to do a little more of that. So find where your strength is and then go all in on that. And then the fourth thing is provide some sort of value to your audience, some sort of free resource or something you can give to them. Value, value, value. So I give the Windsor price guide. I have a real estate calculator. I have an investor map for Windsor. I have so many resources for whatever people need in Windsor. Fifth thing, your value to sales ratio has to be, I think it's 10-1 now. So nine posts have to be value, and then the 10% has to be it doesn't have to be, but 10% at most for sales. So give, and then do a little ask. Yeah. So don't sell too much.
Hook. Yeah.
Exactly.
10 jabs,
yeah. So,
hook them once.
Right. Exactly. So those are my, I think, 5 tips off the top of my head there.
Amazing. Now, where can folks find your Windsor price guide or your calculator, for example?
Yeah, so just go to my my Instagram. That's actually very easy to find. I found it. Yeah, search on perfect. Just search up my name, Milena Simsic. I have a website with those resources. I have it all my social media and link in my bio. Just search up my name. You'll find everything there. My link tree has the list of all of my resources there. And
literally it's easy. I'm already looking at it.
Awesome. See, that's good. I'm glad. That's exactly how I want it. Make it easy to look for. Perfect.
Yeah, we're recording this in May, and I got the May report. Pretty.
Oh yeah, there we go.
We did not rehearse this. This was not planned. And there's a lot of data here.
Thank you. I think it's 30 pages of data for Windsor real estate, and we update it every single month.
And then how do you prepare this report?
So I have an assistant that runs it now. I used to do it myself, but I gave her basically the system. Yeah. I gave her the system that I use to find this information, and then she does it and I verify it. And that's how we get out all of that information, so efficiently every single month.
Melena, I do it the same. I'm really impressed. You worked so freaking hard during some of the most difficult years of our generation. And for
Thank you.
anyone to say that you are given these things, I think that they obviously don't know you, and they obviously didn't listen to this episode.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Erwin. I don't hear that often, so I do appreciate you saying that. So yeah,
Now,
it's
I talk a lot, so I'd like to give you a chance for final words. Any final words you'd like to leave our audience with?
yeah. I guess just put in the reps. I mean, you're going to figure out what to do through action, not through speculation, not through thinking. Action is and stepping forward is the best way to figure out your path. So that's what's worked for me.
Amazing. And then where can people find Windsor REI Social?
You just search up Windsor REI Social. It's like the first thing to pop up. You could search up my name, Milena Simsic. It's on my website. Yeah, if you just search up Windsor Real Estate Investor Network, we're the very first ones to pop up on Google there for Eventbrite, on Facebook. We have a little Facebook group there as well that anybody's free to join. So
yeah, it's literally the first 3 results.
Yeah, awesome. That's how I like it. That's exactly what I was aiming for. Perfect.
Yeah, and then the 4th result's your website. So yeah, very, very easy to find. Windsor REI Social. I'll have links, folks. I'll have links as well for all of this in the show notes. Milena, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for coming, Erwin. And I'm looking forward to having you at the events on June 19th. Everybody's so excited. So yeah, thanks again.
Apologies in advance for disappointing them.
Oh my God, stop it. You're going to do amazing.
Thank you again. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn how to invest in real estate from scratch, my team teaches beginners how to use the #1 investment strategy that I personally use in a virtual free training class every month. Go to investortraining.ca/YouTube to register for our next class. The link's also in the description as well. I publish at least 2 to 3 videos a week here, so subscribe if you want to keep learning from seasoned investors like myself and my guests. And if you're just starting out, feel free to ask questions and comment below, and I do the best to answer each of those comments and questions myself. Again, if you're ready to learn the nitty-gritty about real estate investing from a professional investor, register for our next virtual class. That's at investortraining.ca/YouTube. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next video.